How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another virtual jiu-jitsu class. Mira is very excited to do it. I think what she's very excited about is this is probably the last week of these, and then we can start real in-person jiu-jitsu classes, at least to a modified level. That's what Mira's really excited about. And she gets her eyelashes done next week, I think, so doubly excited. Wednesday next week, right?
15. 16.
Oh, you got it. I think it's a week from today, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, week from today. That's what she's really excited about. We are going to keep kind of looking at some submissions. We had just started looking at that a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and keep going for it. And we're going to show a position that I've not taught yet in any of the virtual jiu-jitsu classes. And I think it's one that should be in everybody's arsenal, at least have some knowledge on it. To be honest, this is not one I choose to go for a whole lot. But I've certainly trained with some partners before who are really good at it and they would make it work a lot. And I think it's one of those things where even if it's not like my personal move, I can attest for the value of it and that some people really make it work pretty well for them. And I want to share it with you guys for today. So what we're going to start with is having Mira lie down on her back and having her head go kind of mostly toward the camera right here. There, let's turn this way just a little bit. I'm going to, can you back up that way? Gotta get it. Okay. What happened? What happened? Right?
Yep.
Okay. Mira might have just submitted herself before we got started. Or she might be doing rope-a-dope. I don't know. We'll see.
What's rope-a-dope?
Rope-a-dope's where like you sort of pretend that I'm getting you.
Oh.
And you bait me into getting like really tired, and then because I'm like trying to finish it, but then you defend just enough that I don't finish it, and then I'm so tired now, and you didn't spend that much energy, and so you get me.
Oh, I like that.
So yeah, Muhammad Ali used to do that. He would lay on the, not lay, but like lean back on the ropes and let the other guy think he was going to get him, and so the other guy would like punch so hard, and not actually knock him out, but then the person would punch themselves out, and they'd be like, oh, I'm so tired. And then Muhammad Ali would go get him because they're tired now.
Like
so he's on the rope, and he made the other guy a dope, so it's a rope-a-dope. So Mira's trying to rope-a-dope. So we're going to look at a scarf hold or a kesa gatami today. So it's going to be a pinning position, and it's really important that the side of Mira's body that I'm on, I get this arm up, and I need to have control of this arm. Okay? My arm can be in one of two places. I can either put her in sort of like a modified headlock, like this, or I can take this arm and go under this arm and I sort of have both arms at this point. I would say that it's more common to do it with this sort of a headlock type position. Okay? And one of the crucial components to this pin and this position working is that this arm here, this one I'm holding and moving around, this is a big part of the battle. If Mira is able to get her elbow down to the mat, and in particular, if she can get her elbow down to the mat towards her body, she'll be able to get out quite effectively. And so I need to know that. I need to understand that. And so I need to be working to keep this arm sort of up and controlled. And there's a variety of different gripping styles that we can do for this. But in general, I need to know that her elbow is one of the big pieces of the battlefield right now. And I'm trying to keep this high to the sky and attached to me. And she wants to try to like rip it down to the floor and get it all the way down to the mat there. So I'm trying to, yes, use my arm a little bit to control it, but mostly I need to get my hips right up against her. So if she tries to rip her arm down to the floor, it gets stuck on my leg. Even without my hand in the picture, I'll hold my hand way out of the way. She tries to pull her arm down, it should feel very stuck, like there's no space to get it out. Okay? And then a few details on my leg positions here. This leg here, I like to keep relatively out-ish, give or take, because if Mira tries to do a big hip bridge to knock me over, go ahead and do a big hip bridge, this leg stops me from face planting. Versus if I have this one back the other way and she does a big hip bridge, she might make me kind of face plant that way, and she can use that to get out. So I want to have this leg out as a little bit of a barrier. And then this leg, I'm only on my tippy toes and my knee is bent quite a bit. That way I can be kind of putting my weight into Mira and I can move along the mat. She's trying to scoot around and try to get away, and I'm going to be able to track her and follow her from this position. And lastly, my grip on her head, I of course need to be pretty tight. I don't want to leave a big space where she can just kind of like move her head and get out of there. I want it to feel very like claustrophobic. Okay? Now, and just kind of really get it in lock there nice and tight. Okay? So our first basic submission from this has to come from controlling the position. So if I don't control the position, then bad things can start to happen. And I'm going to walk Mira through one of the details of this here. So one of her easier escapes from here is going to involve her turning onto her side and facing me and using that effort to get her elbow down to the mat. Okay? And then she's going to try to knock me forward, and she's going to come up and get behind me in like a turtle position, something like that. Okay? And I don't want to be here, obviously. So now I'll go on the bottom, and I'll have Mira go on the top of this position. So I'm going to go where you just worked. We're going to trade. All right. So just so you guys see what this will look like here. So Mira's going to sit on her left butt cheek. She's going to get a headlock on me. All right. Something of this degree. So one of the ways I can get out of this is, again, I want to try to get my left elbow to the floor. So I might try to turn, and I'm going to try to turn and start pulling my elbow down and out like this. And once she's lost my elbow, now she's toast. Now I'm going to come out and I'm going to get her, right? So it's really important that we have control, because if the top player loses position, they wind up in a really bad spot. They get their back taken. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make right now, is we have to have really good control before we go for the submission, because if I lose the control, you're going to get your back taken, and that's pretty bad. That's the worst position in jiu-jitsu, so we don't want that. So let's look at the submission now. Mira's down on her back, head toward the camera like before. Okay. So I get a good control. I'm holding her nice and tight, and I'm keeping everything locked in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a control of Mira's wrist, and I'm going to start pushing her wrist down to the ground, but not toward her own head, not too close to her own head. I want it to be a little bit more on this side so that I can use my leg to start to pin that. And if I want to, I can even figure four this. Now she's going to be ready to tap out with her right hand. I can feel this is already starting to hurt her. Okay, be ready to tap. Hand close to my back. Okay, so I'm going to try to drive her hand toward her feet with my leg effort there. This one's really good because even if you're smaller, like Mira will be able to do this to me, no problem, in spite of her being, 60 pounds smaller than me or something like that. Because it's all, it's not your turn yet. No, look at this. Man, she's rope-a-doping. She's trying to skip ahead on turns. It's basically her using her weight and her hips and legs and core just against my arm, and my arm is in a compromised position. So you don't have to be big and physical to make this technique work. It actually works really well, even if you might be the smaller person. So let's look one more time. So the arm is up. One little detail, I like to make sure that my hand can grab my leg. That makes sure that there's no space in there. Mira can feel probably stuck pretty tight right now. So I'm going to control her wrist. I'm going to force her arm down to the ground, and then I'm going to cover it with my calf. Figure fouring is optional, but it can be a pretty nice thing to do here. And what I'm going to think about doing is pushing my hips in, and my leg starts to drive back, and we get the tap out there. Okay? And the whole time I'm making a moderate effort, like not max, but like a moderate effort to make sure her head stays off of the ground. If I let her head go completely, the submission is not going to be very effective. Let's take a look at that. So if I forget to pin her head, because I'm supposed to be under here getting my own leg, or at least under here, even if I don't get my own leg, but at least under head. But if I forget and my hand is over here instead, and I try to do this, Mira will feel like, oh, well, that's not too bad. And what she can do now is, as I try to submit her arm, she can do a hip bridge. I'll do a hip bridge, and it doesn't hurt anymore, right? Not enough to tap out anyway. Versus if I can lift Mira's head now and I keep her head off the ground, can you do a hip bridge still? Very hard to do a good hip bridge, and I can start to make that pressure for the tap out from right there. So the effort is a leg action. I'll show without Mira, and Mira, you can watch. So you pretend you've got the person in a headlock right here, and what you're going to think about doing is making your butt lift like just enough off the mat to like slide a sheet of paper underneath your butt. Like not a lot. I don't want more than that. I don't want a ream of paper. I just want like a sheet of paper. And then this leg is going to slide backwards. Those of you who do kettlebells with us know this very much like a Turkish get-up type of movement. If I was on a straight arm instead of here, it would be just like a Turkish get-up type of motion, except your opponent's arm is stuck in your leg, in your knee pit right here. And it only takes like an inch or less than an inch of movement. So if you're practicing at home, be pretty careful with this because it's a strong and powerful submission lock, and we don't want to have an accidental injury or something like that. But again, if we use maybe these black mats and the blue mats as a reference, if I started with my shin bone on the black mats, I'm just going to think about lifting my butt just enough to slide a sheet of paper, and then I'm going to make my leg go to the blue mats. And that's all I'm going to think about doing. So Mira gets revenge now. Rope-a-dope payback time. So I'll go ahead and lay down right here. Should be about right. Yep, hang on that side. I got two bad shoulders, so it doesn't matter which one you do it on me. All right. So Mira's going to get like a headlock type of thing on me, and she's going to scoot in real tight. Okay? Yep, she's going to hold her own thigh, and this looks pretty good to me. Remember, the job of Mira's left leg is if I try to do a hip bridge, her left leg is what's going to stop her from face planting. 3, 2, 1. I can't big bridge. Versus if she doesn't have her leg out there, I can make her off balance much easier. Okay? And she's squeezing pretty tight on the headlock. She knows if my head gets free, I can escape, so she's squeezing pretty tight there. So now what she's going to do, her free arm is going to push my arm down to the floor. Yep, push it down and cover it with your leg. Your other leg. Left leg, yes. So for me, I've got pretty inflexible shoulders compared to Mira, so I'm actually close to a tap out already. If you can, move your leg onto my wrist and not my hand. Yes, and put a little more weight down. Okay, you're close to a tap already. Okay, so what she's going to do is do that leg drag that we showed now. She's going to try to make my hand go to my own feet. And there's the tap out. Okay, very good. Let's do it again. So Mira gets that, and I might be trying to like hide my arm back here. This might be something I try to do. So she's got to, peel that back, force it down. Yep, cover it up. Oh, I got tight shoulders. Okay, this is really strong already. And so now Mira's going to make her butt 1 centimeter off the mat, and there it is.
Rope-a-dope.
Rope-a-dope. It's not the name of the submission, but Mira's just going to go home and say that like all night. Huh? Okay, so how might we get into this position? Okay, so we'll say Mira is going to do this on me actually. So Mira and I might be in like a fight and we're standing up or something, right? And if Mira can get me in like a headlock here, like this, right? She might be able to start spinning me down to the ground. And now we're basically in this position. So she's going to hold my arm until she can get in nice and tight and then push it down and then do the submission. All right, so let's look at that one more time. So we're fighting, and Mira gets in a headlock, and then she starts to throw me down. Ugh. And then she pushes my arm down. It covers it up, and then there you go. Rope-a-dope.
Rope-a-dope.
So, all right, guys, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat here real quick. Mira, do you have any questions?
Does my other hand just hang out?
The question was, what does the other hand do? The hands are not, that hand is not needed to finish the submission. It's really important to use that hand to shove your opponent's arm into the lock initially, but then after that, it sort of is, it's like a utility player at that point. It can use to catch your balance or to, wave to the camera or like whatever you need to do, like say hi to your mom in the stands, like whatever you need to do at that point. So, yeah, cool. Any questions from the audience? Any other questions from Miro? No. So the name of the pin is a Kesa Gatami or a scarf hold. And I don't know if that submission has its own name. The mechanism of the submission is an Americana. Normally an Americana is done with the arms. This one we did it with the legs, but still is a good submission. So, all right, guys, that is what we've got for you. Our plan will be one more virtual class with Mira and I on Thursday, and then probably one more with Brian and Marianne at 1 o'clock on Saturday. And then we, as of now, believe our county will be able to be open up by that time. And so we'll start running some, at the very least, running some jiu-jitsu fitness classes by Monday of next week, 6 days from now. So very exciting. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys soon. Have a good day.